Credit Union, your St. Louis
Hockey Fan Report. Aloha, mahalo, and welcome to the Hockey Fan Report. I'm Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, and I am joined today by Ashley, Slapshot Jones. Hey, Ashley, how you doing today?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Well, to be honest, I am not doing that great today. I'm having a rough day, but you know what? I'm here. I understand what needs to get done. I understand how many people, I mean, all 10 of them that really focus and concentrate and need this show in their lives. So those 10 people are the most important people in my life, and I got to make sure I do a show for them. So no matter what I got to deal with, I'm here for them.
Same.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. What an interesting day in the world of hockey. Right? What an interesting day for the day of hockey. He did it. Mr. Berube said this name and this name and that name and this name and that name and that name and put them in a blender and spun it around, and at the end poured out 3 names and made a line, and then poured out 3 more lanes and made another line. And that's what we're going to call the lineup for tomorrow, the blender lineup.
That's a good one.
Hey, I'm not doing too bad. Brad Pond says, are we ready for a big W tomorrow? Win tomorrow? Tomorrow is a big game now. It wasn't supposed to be, but it's become one.
Yeah.
Basically the Sharks aren't, the bottom feeder that a lot of people thought they were. They're a good team, and they're coming on strong, at least now at the beginning of the season. Again, teams falter, as we're seeing. But for the most part, they've showing that they can win. The Blues now are on a 4-game losing streak, or 4-game, I guess losing streak could be.
It's a losing streak.
They've gotten 1 point in the last 4 games. That's not very good. However, they're maintaining a 600 win percentage, 600 points percentage.
Yeah.
I'll take that, right? No, I did not see that, Marianne. I did not see that. Did you? I'd like to, if you got that link, send it to me. We can talk about that.
But I'm not surprised.
Later.
Like I said earlier, whenever we were mentioning Blaze going out, he'd gotten Reeves in the preseason, like right before the season started. So I'm not surprised if Reeves is called out PK.
Yeah, I could see that. Actually, I thought when she originally said that, I thought she meant he called out our penalty kill.
No, I think she said Reeves called out PK Subban.
PK, yeah. Now that I see it, PK Subban. No, you know what? And there's been a lot on that slew foot of his. I was just talking. Remember our buddy Hockey Hound?
Yeah.
I was just talking to him. He's going to let me write for him.
That's awesome.
Right. So I might have like 3 places to write for. I talked to him today, talked to him for a little bit and let him know kind of what was going on. He's upset, and he wants to help me out a little bit, and we're going to see what can happen. But that might be, they're hitting 40,000 views a month, which is way more than I ever had. And it might get some more people.
Yeah.
It might get some more people to my writing to move as I go on. So I'm gonna, we're gonna try and get something out from me. I hate that I got to go to other people, but it is what it is right now.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris Shockley says if they crap the bed tomorrow, Berube might need a realtor. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I mean, I know he's on a hot seat, and you know what? If you're gonna, and I seen a comment in our group. Somebody saying they're tired of the anti-Berube stuff in our group. And you know what? Be tired of it. Because in our group, we're going to let people say what they want to say.
Yep.
Right? We're going to let people call out the coach. We're going to let people call out players. We're going to let people, you need to do that. These, say again?
I was agreeing with you.
Okay. The groups that don't, that sit there and limit or say it's only got to be this or only, that's censorship.
Yeah, and we don't need to have those rose-colored glasses.
No, right?
The only thing that I want, in return is like people get so defensive if someone doesn't have the same opinion as them.
Nope, don't be. Right? Mm-hmm. Don't be. In fact, I love it when somebody doesn't have the same opinion as me. Right? I absolutely love it. I think it makes the show more fun. Mm-hmm. Right? Because it gives some banter back and forth.
Exactly.
And then it also shows that different opinions can be heard. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've seen or heard, I don't know if you were ever a fan of The West Wing, right?
That was a little bit before I was watching that kind of TV.
Okay. Oh, I mean, it was in the 90s, so.
Yeah, I was like.
Well, actually, no,
10.
Not the 90s. I'd say
early late 90s, early 2000s.
Early 2000s. I think that ran from 2002 to 2000 and. No, I think it's last season. So I think it ran 98 to 2006.
Yeah, I wasn't really into like that kind of show at that age. I was more into hockey, but I wouldn't watch lawyers and.
No, you were into the Spice Girls. Admit it.
No, Justin Timberlake was pretty good looking guy.
Okay, so there was a episode there, and it was in one of the earlier seasons, season 3, I think, and maybe 4. President Bartlett is having a debate, and it's with a Republican, and I have to set this up, right? And the Republican's talking about gridlock and all this other stuff like that, and Bartlett just comes back at him and goes, you know what? Partisan politics are you need them. They ensure that the minority voice gets heard, right? This show, our site, our group, the Blue Note Fan Report, the St. Louis Fan Report, when I get it back up, lets the minority voice be heard. And that's what's important. We're just having a lot to do here. Let's see where we at. Tessa Falk. And see, I said it right. Yay, me. I'm going to figure this out one day.
Yes, Mr. Buttons. Yeah, Ryan, we're going to talk about the Eastern Conference captains in a bit.
Yep. Where are we at here? Ryan Green. Hey, guys, what's the subject for the show? We're going to break down and we're going to rank the Eastern Conference champions, or captains. And I got to tell you, the West was tough. This was easy. I mean, I really didn't even need to look a lot of them up to know where I was going to put them. Mm-hmm. Oh, we got our buddy asking his typical question, right? So, no, we do not know it. Braden Shin will not be back tomorrow. He has not skated with the team. I don't see him skating with the team tomorrow. I really can't see him back until maybe the sometime next week, possibly the Chicago game. Mm-hmm. Could be earlier, but that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. Right?
That's kind of what
apparently the last comment was for you. If we lose tomorrow, I'll be singing Justin Timberlake, Cry Me a River.
All right, Chris.
Oh, Chris, that was good.
Hockey gods, please let us win tomorrow.
So I sent Lance a link. I was kind of waiting to see if he might show up, but it doesn't look like he's going to. So you know what?
Oh, Devin Dayton wants us to tell how we became Blue fans.
Where's he?
I missed that one. It's right under Alex Kennedy.
Okay, here we go. So tell your all story how you became a Blues fan. I know that's not bad. You know what? Go ahead and I'll let you start that one.
I think I've said it quite a few times, but I was 10. It was the second game that the Blues had Wayne Gretzky. He was knocked out on the ice by Kelly Buchberger, and the Blues went on to win the game, and it was one of the most exciting things I'd ever watched. I'd never seen hockey before that. I came from a small town in Iowa, so there really wasn't a whole lot of hockey, and it was just the coolest thing ever. Al McInnes' slap shot, it was all awesome.
No, you've talked about, Gretzky and Hull brought a lot of people to the Blues. Now, I will admit, I was a fan before Hull, right? My grandfather, bless his soul, was a great man. Worked for the brewery, was a whispery man. He was probably all of 5'7", 5'8", right? Like by the time I was in high school, I was already taller than him, right? And he was a better. And he loved two things. He loved the horses and he loved winning. Well, he started in the early 70s following hockey, the hockey lines. Well, back then, the betters really didn't, they didn't really have a good, like, hand on hockey, right? So he found that it was very easy to win games, to win hockey. He could parlay, he could put 3 or 4 games together and come out a winner pretty often, more often than not. So he started going to games and took me to games. He took me to a baseball game once, and that was just horrendous. But every time we go to a hockey game, oh my goodness, that man was so intent and so on it. And I remember I talked about this when Bobby passed. I remember one of the games we were like 3 or 4 rows behind the bench, just like right between the 2 benches. And you could hear the guys talk, and the coach was yelling and screaming and cursing. And, someone tells Bobby to please shut him up. So Bobby jumps on the ice, flies out, and just hits the next guy coming across the ice with the puck. And, starts a fight, goes in the box, does his 5 minutes, comes out, comes to the bench, and I'll never forget what he said. Was that good enough? And I've talked to a couple of players, and they remember they've said there was more than one game he would do that, right? He would come out of a fight and he would come back to the bench and ask if it was good enough, something like that, or did that work? Something along those lines. But while I was a fan of the Blues for a long time, I mean, I remember '86. I was working the night of the Monday Night Miracle, but I remember it like yesterday. I remember, back then, the Game 7 was not on TV. Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals was not on TV. And I found out the next day what had happened, and I was devastated. Right. So there was a lot going on. But for me, what solidified me was 1990, 91, Hull's chase of Gretzky. Right. I've talked about this. I wrote about it. I mean, there were nights that when, I served in a minefield for 30 something days, 30, 40. I can't remember. The number changes because I can't remember what it was. Right. I honestly can't remember. And it's hard. And there were nights when you would be down in where I was below the waterline and hearing the stuff bouncing off. I'd be so jittery when, at 4 o'clock in the morning when I get off and I've only got 2.5 hours of sleep. Reveille's at 6. Usually you got to be out of your rack by 6:30, 6:45 at the latest. So I'm not getting a lot of sleep and I'm all jittery. I would, that's me. You're getting the sirens from, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. I would be going down. We had this area called Yorktown Square, but actually it was Mobile Bay Square, but on my first ship, because I served on 2 of the same type of ships. And this is like meeting area, smoking area, back when you could smoke on the ships. And I had met some guys that were hockey fans. One of the guys that worked in radio would take these teletypes and put it up in the overhead in a certain spot. So we would always know to go up there. So I would go up, every night, every couple of nights, and I'd go pull the couple of teletypes out, and because he'd copy them, so there'd be 2 or 3 of them. So I'd pull them out, and I'd be able to take them and read, if Hull got a goal or this or that, all of that stuff. So I was able to see some of that and to feel that, and that's how I went to sleep at night, reading that and feeling like I was there when he scored that goal or that. So for me, it was that whole chase why I truly became I mean, I was a Blues fan, but where I was entrenched into what they did affected my life.
And that is amazing.
Right. And I'm sorry it was so long, guys.
Oh, no, I loved it. Hey, Richard Campbell would love to rank the captains. He calls us lucky. Well,
you know
why
what,
don't
Richard?
we send him a link?
Absolutely, we will. Absolutely. Richard, your link is on the way, my friend. I don't know if you've got your setup, but we'll kind of wait a few minutes or see if you say whether you've got your setup or not. But give me a second and try and figure this out. I've got some other stuff going on. There we go. And we'll bring Richard in. Whoops. I had it. Computer sometimes.
Yeah, technology. It's either going to work great or it's
not going to work at all. Okay, Richard. There is your link. It is on YouTube in Messenger. Right? Not YouTube. Facebook in Messenger. So I'll give you a few moments, and if you come on, we can bring you on and we can start. In the Eastern Conference. Now the Eastern, so in baseball, I know you're not a Phil baseball fan, but in baseball they call the National League the senior circuit, and the American League the junior circuit, right? Well, you could really look at the Eastern Conference has the senior circuit, and the Western Conference is the junior circuit. Of the original 6, I think only 1 is in the West.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let me see. Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Rangers, Chicago, Detroit. Yeah. So Chicago is the only one that is in the West. Mm-hmm. So, hey, Rich, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
Man, you know what? I'm going to say this right here, right now. It is really, really good to see you and have you on the show with all the bullshit, and sorry for the language, that I've been going through lately. To have a buddy like you come on and want to be on means a lot, and I just want to say thank you.
Oh, it's no problem. I always like talking hockey, so.
I'm just excited
because I just want to talk hockey.
I'm excited because he can tell me how bad my list is, because I'm not very familiar with the Eastern Conference.
It's for me, the East was pretty easy. So we'll start. Let me pull my list up. We'll start on the Metro. Let me make sure that's the Metro I wanted. Might have been the Atlantic. Here we go. We're going to start with the Atlantic.
Okay.
Right? And we're going to start with number 8. Number 8, we'll probably all have the same one. I have Buffalo, since they don't even have a captain after the Jack Eichel debacle.
Same.
Yeah.
Right, Richard, you're going to kind of agree there? Because I know you didn't have time to put this together, bud.
Yeah, you're going to fly off the seat of your pants, but I'm pretty sure you've got this.
Yeah, I know you do, too. So, number 7, I'll let you start with your number 7 there, Ashley.
Kind of going with the theme I had from last time. I went with Shea Weber just because he's out. He's not playing.
Yeah, I looked at I wanted to look overall. Mm-hmm. But for Weber, it's really hard to rank him any higher, being that really he's probably not coming back to hockey ever. Mm-hmm. The fact that he hasn't quote retired yet is one thing, but the other thing is that they haven't gone and named another captain. It just makes it hard. I think they should. Look, I understand the importance, but I think you go to Shea and say, look, man, we kind of need a captain on the ice. We're going to go ahead and name another one, but if you come back, then we'll give it back to you. Mm-hmm. To me, that's what they should do, and that's why I've got him at number 7. Rich?
I guess that's a fair assessment. I'm a big Shea Weber fan, but I guess he's out, so I guess you can't really rank him any higher.
Right. Okay. Well, so I'll start next. Since you don't, Richard, I'm not going to have you start since you don't have this written down somewhere or whatever. You can kind of go off what we say because our lists are pretty close to the same. Weber has I got to remember. I think it's a back issue right? Richard, do you remember?
I believe lower back is his issue.
Right, he's got a pretty serious injury, right?
Yeah.
I do know that. Right, it's
I thought it was a lower back and that he was going to have surgery, so he was going to miss the entirety of the season.
Yeah, so I mean I knew it was up there, pretty bad. So I'll start for my number 6, pardon me, and this is not indicative of the player himself. It's the fact that the player was just named as Brady Tkachuk, right? I think Brady's going to be a very, very good captain. Brady is a very, very good player. Ottawa has some issues right now. I thought Ottawa would not be the bottom team in that division, but they're still a dumpster fire. They still have issues with ownership. I mean, look how long it took them to get the Brady deal done, right? I mean, that should have been done. You know, that easily could have been done preseason, and should have been done in the preseason, right? Our off season. The fact that it took that long. And you ended up giving him exactly what he wanted. You know, that was the other thing that I have the issue with. And so I'm not talking the player down. I think both Matthew and Brady are outstanding players. And I think Brady, while he might be the better hockey player, he's also the better leader on the ice.
I agree with that.
Ashley?
I agree with that, and that is exactly where I put Brady, was number 6. For pretty much the exact same thing you stated. He just got the captaincy. He doesn't have the experience of the others on the list. He's got to prove himself in that role.
Yeah, same here with me. He basically took the words out of my mouth with why he went so low.
Well, you know, that almost never happens. And then I go and hit the wrong button again.
Buttons.
Buttons. Right? If I ain't got one nickname, I got another. Okay, so now we're going to move to number 5, and I'll let you take number 5.
Okay.
Ashley?
I've got Larkin from the Red Wings. He's up higher than I originally had thought I would put him because they're doing better than I thought they would have done this season. But he is nowhere near the level of the others on the list. Well,
we disagree here, right? And I absolutely, I when I get to Larkin, I'm gonna shred what you just said apart a little bit. But I have Tavares there, right? Okay. And the reason I have Tavares is for the fact, first of all, he was the captain he's been a captain for almost 10 years, because he was a captain for like 6 years or 7 years in New York for the Islanders before he goes to the Maple Leafs, to his home team, and he was instantly named the captain there. But, you know, you look at that debacle in the playoffs last season. I don't think he's the best leader on the team. I don't think he's the guy that should be the captain on that team. And I know Richard is about to shred me to pieces, but I think Matthews, this young, intelligent player who gets zero respect because he was born in Arizona and grew up in Arizona, is a much better leader, a much better hockey player, and a much better on-the-ice guy all around than Tavares. Even though Tavares is older, I think that Matthews should be the captain of the Maple Leafs. Go ahead and tear me up, Rich.
I don't disagree with both of you here, and I'm going to go with Barkov and Florida. I do not believe he should have been named captain in the first place. I believe that should have went to Aaron Ekblad. Like, Barkov, as far as I understand, is a quiet guy, and sometimes that was good in the dressing room. But at the time Barkov was named captain, they didn't need a quiet guy as captain. They needed a more vocal guy to be as captain. So I'm not crediting Florida's success to Barkov's leadership skills. Like, obviously, Barkov plays a big part in that game game for Florida, but I think Atlas should have been named captain for first place.
Wow, I mean, you're killing both of our lists because I know we both have Barkov kind of high. Well, I do want to know what you think about me saying that Matthews should be the captain over Tavares.
Well, obviously Matthews is the better player. There's no doubt about that. Matthews is the top 10 player in the league. But I think Tavares has a very highly respected locker room presence, so I think he should still be captain. But I respect your opinion on Matthews.
Well, I appreciate that, bud. Didn't expect that at all. Okay, so now we're going to move to number 4. And I think I had you start, so I'll start. And at number 4, I have Bergevin from the Boston Maple Leafs. Or Boston Maple Leafs. Boston
Maple Leafs.
Yeah, not good. Yeah, I get one of those. No, I have Bergeron. My thing with Bergeron is, first of all, he's only been a captain for a couple of years, but he's been on the team for a while. There are other guys on that team that are much better than him, that are much more vocal, that are much more, to me, that should be the captain. And I'm going to say this, and I know I'm going to shoot myself for saying this, right? Because I can't stand the guy. But Marchand is a guy that should, I know, hold on. I hate his play. I hate his extracurricular play. But on the ice, on traditional just hockey, he's that good. He's that good. And making a guy like that captain could change some things and make him a better player on the ice and take away a lot of those extracurriculars that he does.
I don't think you're going to take away his extracurriculars. Now, I can agree that I personally thought that they would give it to Pasternak instead, but
that was the other one I couldn't think of his name off the top. But
definitely not a Marchand. No. But
Marianne asks, why can't a team have co-captains? Because the NHL actually has a long list of rules about captains, right? It states why. We got a bright Richard back, and I just got crickets called on me after my Marchand one. No, the NHL has some very strong rules. If you do not want to name a captain, you can have 3 assistants, right? But you cannot have co-captains. You either have a captain and 2 assistants, or you have 3 assistants, plain and simple. If you name a goalie captain, the goalie is captain only in the locker room, not on the ice. Right? You have to have somebody else with the C on the ice. All right? And that's to keep the goalie from talking to the referees, especially when it comes to interference or things like that. Right? So that's the reason there. Is that correct there, Richard?
Actually, I'm going to disagree with you on that. It's been a while ago, but the Minnesota Wild had co-captains for the first 8 years of the tenure. One was captain for the away team and one was home team.
Yeah,
well, it's very uncommon. I hate that, but
I've heard of it before, and it wasn't just with them. I believe that the Blues actually did it for a little while too, where
the Blues
somebody was the road.
Assistant. They did it with their assistants. They had 4 assistants instead of 2. They had assistants for home and assistants for the road, but they had 1 captain, and the captain was Pietrangelo.
Okay.
Right. So I do know that. But even with that co-captains, it's at home. You have 1 captain.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have 2 captains on the team at the same time. That's what I mean by co-captains. Right. Mm-hmm. You cannot have 2 captains sitting on that bench. You cannot have 2 players wearing the C sitting on that bench. So that's kind of what I went with. So I know you kind of, I don't know if you heard us, but I have Bergevin at number 4, and I forget who.
Tavares.
You had what?
I had Tavers.
I have Larkin at number 4, and I hate myself for placing him this low. Larkin has been with the Red Wings for a while. He was the natural choice to be captain, but of the 3 players, also playing better captains than Larkin is. And we'll see how Larkin is as a captain as we move up into contender status. But for now, he's been a good, not great captain.
Yeah. See, so it's number 3 now, and Ashley, you got number 3 to start.
I put Patrice Bergeron. I mean, Boston's always been a really good team. He's been new to the captaincy, but not new to the team. I'm not a huge fan of his, but I know a little bit. Like, I've seen more of him play than I have the others, so it was just the spot to plug him in.
Okay, that's actually fair. So my number 3, Richard, you're going to kiss me, is Larkin, right? And the reason I have Larkin at number 3 is this guy has been there through the good and the bad, and he's still there. He's signed free agent contracts going through this rebuild. He's staying there. He's being that guy. He's being a leader on and off the ice, and he's helping this team transition. He helped them transition from a playoff team to one of the worst teams in the league. He went through that to now he's about to help them transition into being a playoff team. That says something to me. And when you want to rank leadership, that's important. That's why I have him at number 3.
That's a fair assessment. I didn't look at it from that way. I'm still keeping to my rankings, but we'll see how he does entering the playoffs and how that all goes down.
Yeah. So who's your number 3?
For me, on my number 3, I have to put Steven Stamkos. I've never been the biggest Stamkos fan, but that Lightning team has had a lot of leadership type of players in that locker room for a very long time, and I believe Stamkos is another stand-back leader. I don't believe he is the type of guy to stand up in the locker room and say something. And I don't believe Tampa's success is solely because of his leadership. I believe it would have won for cup with Vetter Hedman or a 4th line or anyone as captain. So that's why Stamkos as number 3.
I see where you're going with that, bud, and I like it, but I'll throw a monkey wrench in that a little bit later. Okay, so number 2 is me, right? Mm-hmm. I have Barkov at number 2. And I have Barkov at number 2 for one reason and one reason only. That team just lost their coach, one of the best, one of the top 5 coaches in the league, and they ain't skipped a beat. That's leadership. That's straight up Barkov leadership. I'm sorry. You have a weak captain, and that team falls apart. That team will, and I'm sorry, any team would fall apart. Remember a few years back when Montgomery coached Dallas. Dallas had a pretty good team. Montgomery got fired for a personal conduct issue right in the middle of the season, surprised everybody, and Dallas went downhill. Right? I think they made the playoffs. I don't think that was the year. It might. If it was the year they went to the Cup, it was because of the break that they went to the Cup, and that's one of the big reasons. But right after that happened, that team started to go downhill, right? I think if the season continues, they're not the 4th best team in the West, right? I think they continue. I think that they were dropping a little bit. To me, when you have a situation like this happen, if you have a strong captain, he's going to hold the team together. And if you want another prime example is the Blackhawks right now, right? I don't think Taves is a strong captain. I said it when we originally had this, right? When we originally did this for the West. I know you missed that, Richard, but we did it for the West, and we both had Taves at 7, right, in the West. And it was right when this stuff came out. But also the thing that they're going through right now. he to me hasn't stood up. In fact, he's done the exact opposite. He backed some of the players in this incident instead of, you know, distancing himself. He backed them. So it just made him not look good, and now that team's where it is. I mean, it's bad enough that ABC doesn't want him on a primetime schedule, right? So that's where I'm at, and that's why I have Barkov at 2.
I also have Barkov at 2, mainly because of how Florida has been, you know, continuing to succeed without Quenneville, and you don't necessarily have to be the most vocal person to lead. You lead by example. You lead by your conduct. So I don't think that him being a quiet leader makes him a bad leader.
By no means was I saying he was a bad leader because he was quiet. I'm saying that we don't know much about what was going on in that locker room throughout the process, which is why I have him at number 5, I believe.
No, and you're totally fine. You're totally fine. Yeah. I think that us not knowing what's going on in the locker room and the process is actually another sign of good leadership, though, because he's keeping it there. It's not public. They're not, you know.
It's not getting in the press.
Yeah.
Right. The guys trust him enough not to be going to Mr. You know, Mr. Newspaper Man whispering, "Don't say I said this," but blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's just a different approach to looking at it, and neither of us are wrong.
Right. So who's your number 2 there, Rich?
I have Sean Tavera as a number 2 because he left Long Island, which did not have many fans, to a hockey hotbed, and he's been thriving there in the leadership compartment. Now, obviously, in the playoffs, he's kind of set for bed. I don't know if that's the Tavera's fault. I don't know if that's the coach's fault. How it could be the Santa Plan's fault, but something has to change there, and that's a key reason why he is a number 1.
No, I can see Tavares. I can see Tavares higher than what I had him. I just look at, you know, the playoff debacle for me was a little too much, right?
And that's a fair assessment, but I think he's been handling the Toronto pressure awfully well, a lot better than a lot of players on that team would have. Now, I would have liked to see Morgan Riley captain, but that's just because I like Morgan Riley. So.
Okay, and so now let's go to number 1, and I think you get to start with number 1, Slashley.
Actually, I want to hear Richard's number 1.
Okay.
I have Bergeron at number 1 because number 1 thing is if Zdeno Chara wasn't stayed for so long in Boston, he would have been named captain a lot earlier. Hell, 2008 maybe. He would have been named captain if Chara wasn't there. He was just a natural leader, and it seemed very obvious to me that he would be the next in line whenever Chara retired, or I guess he left, so...
Right, no, Mary, I see your comment, but I'm going to hold up on it until we get to the East because you just stole my thunder a little bit. Okay, that's a good pick. I'm not going to go. I don't agree, but it's still a good pick. And this is what's great. We can agree, we can disagree, but we're discussing, and that's what's fun. Okay, your turn there, Miss Ashley.
She wasn't necessarily stating that she's rating that person there. She's
just
saying that there was co-captains.
I know, but I was going to talk about that when I got to there.
Okay. All right. Yeah. My number 1 is Stamkos. The Lightning have won back-to-back cups. He obviously bred life into them, even though he missed the entirety of the season last season and only came back for the playoffs. But he is quite the force to be reckoned with. He's a talented player.
Yeah, so for me, it's also Stamkos. But, you know, where Richard rated him low because of everybody else around the team, I rated him number 1, and I hope Richard can hear this, because of what happened in the bubble, right? In the bubble, right, if you remember, he couldn't play in the bubble, right? He had an injury. When they won the cup, they waited for him to get skates on so he could go out and raise the cup. Right? They held up the team could have sent somebody else up there. They held up the ceremony for him because he didn't want to come down. He wasn't going to originally come down. They told him to come down. Right? So that's why I think that's leadership there, right? That's pure leadership. Now, what they did with him last season with the I thought that was Hedman, or not Hedman, Kucherov, that they held out for the season.
It? I can't remember.
It was Kucherov, right? Yeah, Stamkos played. Stamkos. It was the season before the bubble.
Oh, okay.
Where he got injured and couldn't play.
Okay, right? That's where I was mixed up.
Yeah. So and to me, that right there, that's the proof of leadership, right? And that was really something special to see that, to have an injured guy. Yeah, he's not on the ice. He wasn't on the ice, but they still want him to be the first one to lift that cup. That meant a lot, right? Because for other teams, you think, they have some on ice guy do it, right? So that's where I'm at. Okay, Richard, are you ready to do the Metro?
No.
Okay, well, we're gonna kind of we've been doing this a little bit, so we're gonna kind of run through this. I know all of us have the same number 8. We all have the Rangers at number 8 because the Rangers don't have a captain, right? I'm gonna start with. Richard, are you okay with me starting with you?
I'm sure.
Okay, so number 7, we'll go with Richard.
I'm much as Patina, but I'm going to go with Allen's Anders Lee. He seemed like a strange choice to begin with on a team which was obviously wielding with a typical loss of captaincy, but I think they kind of rushed naming Anders Lee captain, so he just doesn't seem like a leadership type of guy to me, so that's why I have him at number 7.
Not a bad 7. Different than mine, but not a bad 7. Ashley?
It's not different than mine. I have Anders Lee as number 7 too. It shows that his leadership is not very good when the Islanders are in last place in that division. They're not performing as well as anyone would have thought. They're really they're lacking something, and I think it's his leadership. Like, he doesn't have it.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to disagree a little bit there, but we'll get there. My number 7 is Jenner from Columbus. Columbus is another one of those dumpster fires. They're playing better as of late, but they still have had issues for the last couple of years. And this is a guy that has I don't see him doing the things that you need to do to make that team better overall. I mean, you have Lion, and you're still you're not putting pucks in the back of the net. You're always hearing something coming out. The coach issue that they had, and I can't think of the coach's name now. I just seen a thing of him here a little bit ago, and now I can't think of it. That they fired. Who was the coach? Tortorella, yeah, Tortorella. It just to me, if when they fired Tortorella, they should have changed Jenner, right? Keeping the same captain under that just didn't work for me. Okay, so we'll get to number 6, and we'll go with Ashley.
I'm really bad with this name. I'm not going to be able to say it, but it's from the Devils, Nico. Thank you. Honestly, I just haven't heard a whole lot about him. So I had to, look at his stats and look at what's been going on. And he just doesn't resonate with me as being anywhere higher than a 6.
I also have Hisio at number 6 because he is a two-way private. He hasn't reached his breakout point like he was expected to. But I have him down there because he's still relatively new, and he's been through quite a turmoil because Monday had Taylor Harvey run for, and obviously that didn't work out for them. So we're still in transition. So we'll see how good Nico is as captain later on in his career.
Well, you all get this because that's who I have at number 6. Is Hersher. Hersher, and it's the same reason. It's blah. The Devils, blah. The stuff with Hall, blah. I mean, they've just been blah. and you put some blah on the captain, and that's where it goes. Now, Marianne asked a pretty good question. How does a team pick a captain? Is it from the coaches or done by the players? For the most part, I think it's done by upper management.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say GM/coach. I think they're the ones that's probably going to pick the captain.
It goes both ways depending on the team.
On the team, I thought it could. Okay, so now we're at number 4, or no, pardon me, number 5, and my number 5 is from Philadelphia, Grudeau. Philly's actually starting to turn things around. I think Grudeau is the right type of guy for that. He's aggressive, smart, and he just gets his name said enough that you know who he is, but he leads on the ice, and that's why I have him at 5. I could easily, by say the 3/4 part, or the if we do this again, say after the Olympic break, see him moving up the list.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we'll go with Ashley.
I have Jenner at number 5. I don't see him in such a negative light as you do because, again, I'm just now branching out from the Blues the past couple of seasons, so I haven't watched a whole lot of the other, conference. But the Blue Jackets played very well this preseason against the Blues, and they seem to be doing better than they have in the past. Maybe not, at the top, but they're doing okay. And so I put him in the middle because it's okay.
Fair enough. Richard?
For me, I have Sebastian Aho of the Carolina Hurricanes, as he seems to, on that Carolina...
Actually, Aho, hey, bud, Aho's not the captain. Stahl is the captain. Stahl.
That's right. Okay, I'll have to change my rankings a little bit then.
Sorry about that, bud.
I wasn't too sure. I was just scribbling names out. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, hey, you got this at the last minute, so
yeah.
I understand. But
I applaud you.
Yeah, what you're doing is great during this last minute. But yeah, Stahl is for Carolina. And that's an interesting one when we get to talk about him.
Well, I'm still going to say Stahl, but for a different reason, but I would have said Aho. For Carolina Hurricanes for the past couple of years, really since Eric Stahl has left, they went through captain after captain after captain, going from Justin Williams and no captain to now Jordan Stahl. There has to be something there why they kept on changing the captain year after year. So
yeah, that does have it. Okay, so whose turn is it to start for number 4? I think Richard's turn.
I have Boone Center at number 4, and it's because everyone that's leaving Columbia is because, it's a small hockey market. He chose to stay, and he actually signed the extension to stay. That shows me that he's bleeding Blue Jackets in and out of his blood, and that he likely wants to spend his whole career with that one team.
Right, and that's respectable. I just, for me, I just had a hard time with it. Ashley?
My number 4 is another name I can't pronounce, but the Flyers. Grow or, anyways.
Can you help him out there, Mr. Frenchman?
Sure.
Thank you. Anyways, his stats look great, and the Flyers are doing pretty okay in the standings. I believe they're number 4, so it kind of fits that I put him at number 4.
Right. Okay, so my number 4 is going to surprise you, but it is Anders Lee. And the one thing you guys talked about Lee, how when Tavares left, he probably shouldn't have been it. Maybe. But since Lee's been it, they've been to the conference finals, what can be considered the conference finals, 3 years in a row, right? 2 or 3 years in a row. They've been a team climbing up. He's got to be part of that, right? You've got to see something from him that's working because this team is close. This team is close. I think the only reason this team hasn't lifted a cup is who else is in the division. right? Tampa Bay being in the conference is the only reason they haven't lifted a cup. But they've been good enough to lift the cup. They've been that good. I want to say they 3 years ago when the Blues won the cup, they swept somebody and then got swept. I think they got swept by Boston. But other than that, from that, after that, they were in the conference finals twice. So to me, I'm taking that and going, okay, you went from getting swept in the second round to being in the conference finals twice with a new captain. Oh, I'm giving the captain some props here. Maybe a Crickets one on that one, huh?
That's the fair assessment.
There we go. I'm learning. Okay, so now we get to number 2 or
3.
Yeah, right? Number 3.
Number 3.
My number 3. I'll start. No, it's Ashley's turn to start.
Yeah, I've got Jordan Stahl from the Hurricanes. Again, the way that they're playing right now, I don't have a whole lot of, experience watching the Eastern Conference, but the team's doing the best in the, division. He's obviously got, experience. I just couldn't think of anyone else to put at 3.
No, I'm with you for number 3. I also have Stahl, but I have Stahl for another reason. For the past 15 years, other than like 1 year, a Stahl has been captain of that team. First, it was brother Eric, and then it was him, and then Justin Falk was the away captain for a year before they traded him away. Stahl has helped take that team from a contender, championship contender team to also ran to a contender team, right? Between his brother and him, there's been some connect. I think it's just it's almost like the Sedin twins. Those were the same guy on the ice, right? They were the same guy, and to me, Eric and Justin are almost the same guy in some ways, and their leadership seems to be strong. So I'm going with him there for that.
Me personally, I'm going with Claude Giroux of Philadelphia because there's a give and take here, which is why he's ranked at number 3. For good portion is he's been the Flyers captain for a long time. He's obviously respected by a good amount of the locker room. He's also went through some good years and rough years. It seems that for making the playoffs and missing it for next year, missing it. I believe that's been going on his entire captaincy tenure, actually. And he's been through some pretty bad coaches. I don't know if you know this, but Dale Weiss, who used to be on that team, he said that Dave Hatstall, who was the coach while he was on that team, was the worst coach he's ever played for. And by he showed poor leadership, and by was basically Claude Giroux leading that room. So that's why I'm Giroux at number 3.
Not a bad pick at all. Not a bad pick at all. Again, this is our opinion. This is how we see things. We all see things differently. Okay, so number 2. My number 2 is going to surprise some people, but my number 2 is Ovi. Right? Ovi is definitely running that team. He's definitely probably one of the best players in the league. What he's doing with Gretzky's chase, he's got a cup. I can't say anything bad about Ovechkin other than he's a one-trick pony when it comes to goals. He scores a lot of his goals on the power play, right? Or from a certain area. Well, that was till this year, where now he's scoring them all over the place. But the majority of his goals have come from one spot, right? He's either been in the left circle is his number 1, and the right circle is his number 2 a little bit. But it's normally that left circle. And when you see that, it kind of, you look at Gretzky and you look at Hall and you look at some of the other guys, they scored from all over the ice. right? And you look at the fact that Hull almost never scored an empty netter, but for me, Ovi's at number 2. Ashley?
For me, I had to kind of keep in mind that I did dock players that I thought were good because they've missed a lot of the season. So keeping that in mind, I couldn't give this person number 1, so he landed in number 2 because he hasn't played that much this year, but Sidney Crosby. The Penguins have been a pretty successful team for his captaincy. He might not be the cleanest player. People like to say that he's a bit of a crybaby, but he is very talented, and he obviously is leading that team.
I'm with you there.
I have Crosby at number 2, and the reason is I could not put Ovechkin any lower than number 1. And it's okay if I say my number 1 while I'm doing this too.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead, man.
The reason why I have Ovechkin number 1 is because he's run through playoff failure after playoff failure after playoff failure. It would have been so easy to get up and leave, but he didn't. He led them to the Stanley Cup, and he was willing to change his game to do so. Crosby, on the other hand, he's been giving Cup championships to him handed on a silver platter. Same with Olympic gold medals. He's a terrific player, of course. Of course, those Stanley Cup teams would have never happened if he wasn't on that team. But he should have never won any of those Conn Smythe trophies he was handed to him. He wasn't the best player on either of those Cup runs, so I have him at number 2.
Okay, I mean that's fair. I got a question though, and I can't remember this. He has 3 rings, right? He's won 3 or 4?
3.
3, right? Was he a captain for the first one?
No, he was.
Okay, so because he got captaincy, he took out the captaincy like his second year in the league, right? I think his second year in the league, he got he's the longest tenured captain out there, I think.
Second longest, I believe. I think Jonathan Taze had the longer.
Taze didn't get his captaincy until 2010, and Crosby's had it in 2007.
I don't remember.
I mean, I remember looking at it earlier today, so I can kind of look it up while somebody else is talking. But to me, and I'll get it when I get my point. Okay, I'll let Ashley go.
My number 1 is Ovechkin, and it's because of the fact that this year he has changed his game again. He is scoring goals from places other than the top of the circle. He's showing that even as he's aged, he continues to be able to do new things and adapt, and I just find him to be really impressive.
Yeah, he is impressive. There's no ands, ifs, or buts there. Okay, now, freaking computer. So my number 1 is Crosby, right? Sid the Kid, when he came into the league, he was touted as the next Gretzky. He won a cup within his second or third year. I mean, really quick. I think he won a cup quicker than Gretzky did. He's captained 3 of them. He has back-to-backs. I know Richard said that he probably didn't earn 2 of his Conn Smythe, and I get that, but you know what? When it comes to the media, sometimes they're blinded by their own. They're blinded by their own power, right? And that might be some of it, and I get that. However, when you look at Crosby, all the negative that comes out about Crosby, to me, that's more of a positive, right? I take that because everybody hates him so much. It makes me love him even more, right? And I do joke about him. I think I said he's the first woman to ever play in the NHL. Then I go and be Buttons again. Oh my goodness, I just can't do anything. There we go. A little
finally
late. Yeah, there it is.
20 minutes later.
But when you look at it, and not only that, see, we talked about that incident that Crosby had just recently where he took a guy and threw him to the ice in a danger area, and it wasn't called. And I seen on Twitter an absolute Penguins fan go, well, if they would call some of the stuff that he has to go through all the time, that wouldn't happen. And you know what? They're right. Right? He gets picked on, and he does. He gets slew-footed. He gets elbowed. You watch a game with him in it, and people are all over him. Right? This isn't the Gretzky era where if you were all over Gretzky, you had I can't think of his name, McSorley, right? Pegging him, right? It was McSorley. Wasn't McSorley the big defenseman that Gretzky took with him everywhere?
I think so.
Right? You had McSorley, shoving his fist in your mouth, right? Or you had McSorley pounding you into the wall, So he doesn't have that. He's never had that. He's never had that other player, that enforcer, that ice guardian for him, yet he's still done what he's done. To me, that just says, oh my goodness. Right? That's why I got him at number one. And again, with Ovi, it's like you could do this, 1 and 1A, right? I mean, we said you have to have a 1-2, so that's the way it is, but they could be 1 and 1A, right? They could be co-number ones, right? But for me, when it all comes down to it, Ovi's made his career out of that one spot, and Crosby's made a career out of making sure that Ovi didn't get a cup. Because how many seasons did the Penguins knock the Caps out of the cup? That's, to me, 3 or 4 actually. Recently it was 3. But I think down the road you can find other times that they've done it too. Right? So that's where for me that puts him just a bit higher. That it took. He was the king of the hill, and Ovi got his one, but he ain't got another one since. Right?
I want to address what Chris Lambert said. No, Ovi is not like the Tom Brady of hockey. That would actually be Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, I think Crosby would be a lot closer, right? See, for me, if you want to know who the best player in hockey is, right this moment, this very second, it's McDavid. But if you want to know who the best player in hockey has been the last 10 years, or if you want to know who the best player in hockey has been since McDavid's been in the league, it's Crosby, then it's Ovechkin, and then it's McDavid. Right? No, I'm sorry.
I don't agree with that.
Looking at take the whole. Right? Where's McDavid's Stanley Cups? Where's McDavid past the second round? Right? Where's all of that leadership that he's supposed to have that isn't there? Right? I'm sorry. Crosby he took team in 2007 and then again in 2016 and 2017. A spread. He was still able to do it in 2 different eras, right? In 2 different styles of play, in 2 different playoff systems, right? Because when he originally went to it, it was your top 8, and you reseeded, so you were always playing the best. The lowest team was always playing the best team available. It's only in the last, since 2015, that we've been in this playoff system, where your 1, 2, 3 are together with just the 2 wild cards. So you look at that. He did it in 2 different eras, 2 different playoff systems, and he's got what 2 or 3 Hart trophies, right? I think he has as many Hart trophies as McDavid does. He's just, I'm sorry, all around, he's the better player. Not right this moment. But if you look at the period since McDavid's come in, full on, I'm going with Crosby overall. Am I getting this?
Well, for Phoenix, Crosby entered the league in 2005, and he had 2 pretty steady teams to start with, but coming from 2007-08 till since then, actually, he's been on stat rosters. Edmonton, on the other hand, with Matt David, I mean, badly on Drysdale and Nugent Hopkins and Darnell Nurse, but they emptied out for arena depth and they emptied out for defensive depth, and the goalies have been frankly awful ever since Cam Tilbert's 2017 Cup run. So it's different types of teams between Matt David and Crosby. If you put Matt David with those Penguin players in 2007-8 on, he would have the same amount of cups as Crosby does.
I disagree. I disagree because you know why? Because McDavid has had how many number one overall picks playing with him and still failed? Crosby came in and they weren't the worst team the next season, right? They moved up. McDavid came in and they were still the worst team the next season. They got the number one pick again. They got the number one overall pick like 3 or 4 years in a row with McDavid there. And I don't think it was from trades. I think it was, well, again, lottery system, but I think they had the worst team for a while and they didn't get better. And honestly, all they've become is a playoff team. They've only made the second round once, and they've missed the playoff. I think they've missed the playoff more times with McDavid there than they have without him. And Crosby's only missed the playoffs twice. Right? No, maybe even once. Maybe only even once.
Well, if we're counting this year, Freelio's been missed the playoffs. If they make it this year, but it'll be Freelio's as well, I believe. So, but that is worse than Crosby, no doubt about it.
Yeah. So I just, wow, what a good topic today.
I'm just excited that Richard joined us.
Oh no, hey Rich, you know you're always welcome here, right, bud? Right? Anytime I'm on, all you got to do is let me know, and you're always welcome. We love having you on. You know, I'm trying to get the site back up so we can start writing again. I'd love to get you back on, talking more, writing more, doing all that stuff. You're a great addition to what we do, and we appreciate you. And I just want to say thank you very, 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 very much. And this is for you. All right. So thank you, Richard.
Thank you, G. Thank you, Ashley.
All right. Oh, tomorrow, Ashley. Oh, go ahead, Richard. Sorry.
Have a good night, guys.
You too, Richard.
Yeah, you too, Richard. Thank you. Tomorrow, huge game. It's 7:00 Central Standard Time. That means at 6:30 Central Standard Time, the Blue Note Fan Report is going to be back. We're going to be talking about Blues versus the Sharks, and whether or not Braden Shen is back, because Brad Pond's going to ask. And
Brad Pond asked or decided to tell me that there's a Hooters in St. Louis.
There's what?
Earlier in the chat, he was stating that there's a Hooters in St. Louis.
Yes, there is. I just don't remember where it is, but I know I've seen it when I was there.
I've picked up from there before for DoorDash, but okay. It was just kind of a random. I wonder if
it might have been him trying to say something else. Who knows?
Yeah. Yes, Brad, there is a Hooters in St. Louis.
Right. Well, my Hooters, they're in Hawaii, though. I'm sorry, I win on that one. On that note, this is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, for Ashley Slapshot Jones, saying aloha, mahalo, and we cannot wait to see you tomorrow night on the Blue Note Fan Report as the Blues take on the Sharks. Aloha, everyone. See you tomorrow night.